Alright, this is an '04 Dodge Ram 1500 quad cab. Excuse the mess. This truck's been sitting here and hasn't moved a lot for a while, and it's under a tree, so I opened the door and all this junk fell in here. Anyway, we are going to be swapping the steering wheel today. And the reason I'm doing that is because it's a rubber molded steering wheel. It's got some wear on it, but the big thing is that the previous owner of this truck wasn't exactly the ideal owner of a vehicle. He was just a disgusting slob. This whole truck was just absolutely filthy and disgusting inside when I got it. And even after much cleaning, there's stains I cannot get out of the steering wheel. Plus, judging from these triangles that are cut into the steering wheel, as well as the scratching on the paint on the Dodge logo on the airbag, and this random hole in the center console cover, it seems he was one of those guys who just starts cutting stuff up whenever he gets bored. So I've got a new, or I say new, it's a junkyard steering wheel. Got this for 10 bucks. It's from an '06 Durango, if I recall correctly. The last time I went, or the time I went to the junkyard when I got this, they just had a whole bunch of these Durangos about that year range, all with steering wheel covers. I'm not really sure why, but because it has a steering wheel cover, the wheel is actually in very good shape, not really worn at all, just a little bit dirty. Should be a direct swap right in place of what's there. So yeah, I'm going to swap that, and I'll have a much better steering wheel. So first things first, I did disconnect the battery on this so that the SRS system wouldn't be active. Realistically, it shouldn't cause a problem if you leave it, but in my experience with this kind of stuff, it's better to just disconnect it, because sometimes when you start pulling components out, those kinds of systems can throw a tantrum, and clearing codes is irritating, and it's just easier if you disconnect everything. Also safer, which is the big thing. So I'm going to need to turn this wheel, so you'll need to have the key in the ignition so that it does not lock when you start turning it. And there are some bolts on the back side of the wheel. You have to turn it to get to the bolts, because you can't get to them with the steering column in the way. So I'm going to find the right socket, which hopefully will not take forever. And of course it's probably going to be a 10 millimeter. Yep, it's a 10 millimeter. I did remove the airbag on the steering wheel that's going in, but that was quite a while ago, so to be honest, I've forgotten what size these bolts are. Okay, that's loose.
Okay, that's one bolt. So now turn it the other way, get the other bolt. This is really hard without the engine running. This is no power assist. Nope, need to go a bit farther.
Okay, and that's the second bolt, and once we pull this bolt out, the airbag should come right out. Trying to be careful not to drop these bolts and lose them into the abyss of the steering column, so I'm just going to straighten this out just because, and we'll just pull that off gently. Okay, now there's a couple connectors that have to be disconnected, so I'm going to start with this ground connector, because that one is the tightest. You don't want to force these things, because if you break them, that's going to be kind of an issue. Okay, let's see, there it goes. Alright, so we have the airbag fully removed now. We are going to go put that somewhere where it will not harm anything if it blows up. Alright, we'll get the cruise control wiring out of there. And you want to use a steering wheel that has the same features as your old one. If you want to make it simple, if you want to make it difficult, go ahead and get a different one. So that's a 13 millimeter. We'll just see if we can. Yep. And this is just staying put with the resistance put on it from the tires since there's no power steering. So we're going to loosen that up a bit. And now what I'm going to do is take a standard combination puller. Now you can get steering wheel specific pullers or you can use a combination puller, it doesn't really matter. Now this one is mine, but most auto parts stores, if you don't have one, will rent you one. You have to pay for the full price of the tool, and then when you bring it back you get your money back, which is a pretty good deal. So if you don't have one of those, you can do that. I rented for many years, and then at one point I found that I was using these things a lot and decided to buy one. Crank it down and it's coming right off, no problem. Steering wheel's off, but make sure the clock spring doesn't go all over the place. I'm going to continue to hold that because I don't want it to move. So I'm just going to stick the new one right back on. And it is splined. Well, the steering wheel is splined, but it has a locating pin, so you can't really put it on wrong. And then at the bottom here, you saw that yellow pin on the clock spring. That has to fit into a little groove on the steering wheel so that it rotates at the same rate. And I pinched it with my finger. Okay. Alright, new steering wheel on. Okay, so Dodge specifies to use a new steering wheel bolt and tighten it to 45 foot-pounds. So we have a torque wrench, and this is one of the things where yes, I am going to torque it properly because it's holding the steering wheel on. Now we don't want the steering wheel coming off. Okay, extension. And there's 45. Alright, so we will plug our cruise control back in, tuck those wires back into these little channels where they belong. And now we will retrieve our steering wheel. Sorry, I meant to say the airbag, not the steering wheel. I'm going to plug in the airbag connector and then my ground, again, being careful not to break any of this stuff, and slide it back on. Now, I need to rotate it again so we can reinstall the bolts. If I can find my tools. And that should do it. We have our nice new used steering wheel, much cleaner, much less wear, and doesn't have a whole bunch of chunks taken out of it. So I think we're done here.